Welcome to the Moonshot Podcast, the podcast where we explore business growth, inspire innovative marketing strategies, and explore the world of company culture. Now here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs and best-selling authors, James Philip Arbuckle and Kane Carpenter.
All I have to say is bring back Terry Tate, office linebacker.
You'll have to give me more context.
You're probably in like Singapore or something when that thing came out.
Got it.
It was a football player in the office that he went around just literally blowing people up if they didn't refill the coffee pot and basically take like all these things that go on in the office and irritate the hell out of you. And there'd be this, 6 foot, I don't know, 300-pound dude running full tilt, just smoking people in the office for doing that. I don't know. Highly recommend watching it.
Okay.
It's back when you wanted to watch SuperBowl commercials. Like, football fan or not, the old saying was, don't care about the football, but I'll watch it for the commercials. Did you want to watch it for the commercials this year?
No, it was pretty tough. I that's really why I watch it, which is for the commercials. But this year was pretty tough.
I mean, you're a marketing person, you're advertising, you're interested in this stuff, and I saw what was that? You said something about it looked like a bunch of firms trying to win an award or something.
Yeah, like trying to win a Cannes Lion or something.
And when you said that, I went back and tried to watch some of them, and what I saw was it's almost like we spent all this money on the atmosphere, and then we forgot to write something creative or funny. And it's like the money was definitely spent. They spent the money on everything, but making it worth watching.
And the obsession with using, I know there's a few that kind of ran nicely with us, right? The Duncan one being a good example of using celebrities well, but it's just there's this obsession with using celebrity to sell product. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Maybe we'll dive into the ones like specifics, but the two that I still remember distinctly from the thing was the Pfizer ad, which you had a funny post on Instagram, um, and then the I think it was Gemini or one of the tech AI companies, and neither of them used celebrity, and I still remember those two.
I don't know. Like I understood the Duncan one because Duncan was making I think that Duncan did something with Ben last year. And if I ever think of my East Coast buddies, like they're not Tim Hortons people. They come to Michigan, it was Duncan, but now it's all Tim Hortons. Anyone I talk to on the East Coast, it's like you're eating Duncan. Maybe it's Tim Hortons now too. I don't know, but I remember Duncan being a big thing up there. So you got the Boston guys. They kind of gave you that old, Goodwill Hunting. They had the heavy Boston accents going on, and I could see using them as celebrities. But there was like everything else. It's like the same. Like there was this who's list of celebrities. So man, you're paying for the ad time. You got to shoot the damn thing, and how they weren't doing the commercials for free, right?
I doubt it.
We got like $15-20 million tied up in this commercial, and then no one's gonna be going to remember it tomorrow. So, not to get sidetracked, but the Duncan one, they've been rolling out extra clips,
Mhm.
and I thought that was really. I think you should do that anyways, regardless. But they did it very well with outtakes, extra shoots, and they're going to stretch that into 6 months of content. And you don't fall for that trap of I just spent $5 or $10 million, and then everyone forgets you tomorrow. Those things are going to be on TikTok and Instagram forever, and you're not going to forget about them.
Yeah, I can see that, and I doubt hopefully if you're working with a professional firm, they are that thoughtful, but I doubt very many of those brands have the kind of follow-up plan that they do, that Duncan does.
You got to also have something that's worth. It's usually got to be something funny, like to stretch that out. If you're just doing something informative or serious, people don't want serious for the next 6 months, man.
Yeah, that's true. There's been some kind of hoopla on the at least on X on Twitter around like a Kanye West commercial, and I don't remember seeing it. So I was like, oh, maybe different markets see different thing.
I wasn't. I barely paid attention to the TV beyond the first quarter, so I don't. I definitely didn't see it. I've not even heard of whatever you're talking about.
So
Now,
apparently he bought he bought, whatever it was, $7 million to buy the 30 seconds, and then it's basically him holding his phone in like a selfie, and he's like, "Oh, I spent all the money on the ad spots. So I don't have any money to spend on the production, but go to Yeezy.com and buy some shoes." And apparently it did phenomenally well, but I just don't remember seeing that ad at all.
I did not see it, so I don't know if that was a local thing or. I don't. I'm gonna have to Google it when we're when we're done now. Um, I just going back to the Terry Tate thing. I've given up hope that I know there's still comedians out there. I just feel like the world has lost its sense of humor.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
and if you have a sense of humor, the people who would perform or write creative stuff, they're not allowed to anymore. Because God forbid you say the wrong word on TV, and you didn't mean it to say that, or you didn't mean it to sound that way, or you'd end up insulting somebody somewhere, and then you'd get canceled. And you realize, I don't know if you call it free speech, it's something else, but um, when you're in creative environments, people are always encouraging you to you don't be insecure, just blurt it out. Um, no, there's no judgment zone. Like, this is how great ideas come out, and that was always a creative world. But when I watch these commercials, I feel like that's not what was happening in those rooms when they were writing stuff, because now you're so worried that you're going to get attacked, and you see what happens now when that pressure comes on. The creativity is sucked out of the room, and then we get stuff like this now. So was that bigger picture, another conversation? But is that going to continue to affect writing and novels and movies and music because people are too afraid to even push the boundaries anymore? There was nothing that pushed the boundaries on commercials, right?
No, it's creative with a handbrake.
It was,
Right.
and you go back to some of the commercials they did in the early 2000s, and they weren't crazy. It just the world doesn't seem as fun anymore. Like you're waiting for someone to just jump down your throat for something. Um, I
I
don't
also
know.
wonder from an ROI perspective because the kind of things that get uh, advertised in like the halftime show, I feel so. This is going back to my point about it feeling like it's just ad agencies trying to win creative awards. Like the stuff. I mean, what was the most recent game changing product to come on the market? Maybe Apple's the Vision Pros, like stuff like that, stuff around VR stuff. I don't remember any ads around stuff like that. It was all like packets of chips and coffee and just stuff that like what's the most if I were to ask you what's the most iconic Super Bowl ad that you remember of the last, I don't know, call it 2-3 decades?
I don't know about iconic, but there was the Budweiser Clydesdales were always a big thing when I was growing up.
Mm,
Everyone always waited for that commercial, and then they
got
got
it.
away. They got away from that, and I've had a few personal favorites, but I'm thinking of big time branding things I know people talked about, people were talking about before the ads even came on, and you always had that one commercial from Budweiser that was yeah, you know, America, hell yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Like a vibe.
Do you have one in mind?
I was thinking of the Apple one. Do you remember the Apple one back in the day with all the? I can remember like snippets of it in my mind.
I don't.
Um, I guess it's hard to explain, but it was just like I remember Apple's. It was kind of Apple's coming out party, and it's typically hailed as one of the better Super Bowl ads of all time. But I just think like nothing this year compares to anything like that. I don't think we're going to be remembering the Doritos ad in 20 years, right? So I just wish that I don't know. I think both of us hold creative on a pedestal. It's hard to do. It's hard to get right. So there is kind of an appreciation for how hard it is, but I don't know. It just seemed very disappointing.
Doritos used to have some commercials back in the day. I mean, what used to have like models on TV? You'd had I'm getting my makeup names, Cindy Crawford, or no, the Doritos had like the Doritos girl. I don't even know who the hell that was. But yeah, you had those types of things in there. You had, aggressive things, a Terry Tate linebacker. You had funny stuff, and I don't know. It's last year wasn't good either, if I recall. And this year is just a slightly more dumbed down version of last year. And you're right though. Like, where's the car ads? Like, I don't know if I maybe saw one car ad.
Yep.
One, two.
I don't remember any car ads. Oh, do you have a favorite car ad when you think back at all the ads that you've seen?
No, I want to say Audi or somebody used to do cool ones. And again, I'm not really keeping a mental calculator. Was the F1 commercial? I don't know if you ever saw that. They went through the cars driving around the world, and it's just rip roaring 8, 9, 10, 12,000 RPM, and it pulls into a Shell station. That's one of my favorite commercials of all time, if you're any kind of automotive fan. I don't know if that was a Super Bowl commercial, but I want to put that soundtrack as my alarm clock in the morning. That was an amazing commercial. But, I think Audi used to do some stuff, and it was like the new sports car was coming out. Something fast, something powerful, something whipping around track, something exhilarating. And what the hell? And then we had a couple probably EV. I think it tells you, like, the world's just not. The reason why we're excited for EVs isn't the same reason we used to be excited for cars. Cars used to be exhilarating. And now it's, instead of trying to have an adrenaline rush or feel powerful or just, excitement, we're trying to get excited for saving energy. And it's not the same thing.
That's an interesting point. Yeah. Yeah.
You ever rode a four-wheeler or a snowmobile or anything?
No.
You've had to have been on something like, I don't know, go-kart.
Jet ski, something like that. Yeah, go-kart.
Go-kart. Do you not like feel somewhat alive? Like, is
Yeah,
there
yeah,
not? That is the feel. I know, and I know that the electric car can go really fast, 0 to 60. It's not the same thing. Like when you look at, um, gas engines and all these things. There's a feeling you get when you're on the jet ski. There's that feeling when you're in that go-kart, whipping around corners, and you want to feel that. Cars used to get you excited for that, and you would see all the commercials. Now you're right. It was like Doritos, Uber Eats. I felt like it was a bunch of drinks,
yeah. Yeah. Right.
snacks, and like, where was the things that get us excited? And the Pfizer thing, I made the joke on Instagram, which I made someone mad, I guess, because I think they thought I was anti-vax, and it wasn't even anti-vax. It was just it was pharmaceutical industry in general, right? And I said, it just feels weird having a pharmaceutical company sponsor the Super Bowl. It's like, I'm always thinking, like, how can we get in better shape and get off some of the pharmaceuticals, right? Like, we joke about, I go to the doctor, and not my new doctor, old doctor, and, oh, you got this, I'll give you that. And it's like, can we just find out what's wrong first before you start prescribing stuff?
Seriously.
So that was my joke, and someone thought I was being anti-vax, and I'm like, well, obviously you don't even know me, but whole other story. But I'm thinking, like, these are the things that are advertising, pharmaceuticals, chips, pop, beer, Uber Eats, and that's fine. But it's like, was there any like gym equipment for
Anything around being healthy? Yeah.
anything around being healthy? Or maybe there was some travel stuff. I didn't see that, like some travel, something. I like the cars because I personally like cars, and we used to be it's America. We used to be a car culture. We're not as much anymore. But there was these things that either made you laugh, they inspired you, and at least there was a mix, right? There was always Budweiser and Mountain Dew and Doritos and stuff. But for the Super Bowl, I just felt like, where was it? Remember, I don't know if you remember the old ones, like Monster.com and Career Builder. Like, was there even many like tech companies advertising?
No, that's a stark difference to last year. I remember an ad last year. Was it Coinbase or someone like that that just put a QR code on the screen for a minute or 30 seconds? Like super effective, I would imagine. There was none of that this year, which I think speaks to maybe the state of the economy, and I think we're going to have another conversation at some point around the change in the way advertisers and marketers can think about reaching customers. But I think there are more effective ways to get an ROI on your marketing spend than $7 million for 30 seconds at the Super Bowl, right? Like you can get closer to the point of purchase now than that. So it does leave just this gap of companies or brands or products that live on brand awareness versus conversion.
We probably talked about this last year, but you take $5 or $7 million, you got to factor in all the production aspects of it too. And then we figured out you could run like radio ads nationally, like every day for like a year, or you could have ran like these commercials. Like you could have took the $10,000, $15,000 budget and like ran something for an entire year. And was that really worth a one night hit? It does, other than like it's a you know king in a mountain type of thing. I advertise on the Super Bowl. Other than that, there seems like there is a better way to stretch the dollar. I think Duncan's got it right now. They're not the first one to do that, but they create a series, leak the content out, shorts, TikToks, funny clips, things they might not have wanted to put on TV, for example. They'll stretch that out and try to get some money out of it, right? Like, where's the cars? Did that tell you the car market they either must not be able to build the cars and sell them, or people aren't just buying the cars, and I'm guessing they're not buying I don't know, because GM's numbers came out good. Maybe it's just an ineffective place to advertise, but like, my real opinion, Kane. Everyone went crazy on EVs, and they didn't go crazy with the new sports car or the new truck or the new SUV or even a whole new car, right? And the Super Bowl came along, and now EVs are downtrending. Like, people are scaling back. The hype is kind of faded for a while. Well, I can't go. The only new products I have are EVs, and the market's telling us people don't want that right now.
Right.
Which is just, I go back. We talked in an old episode, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes ago, about making decisions on fads and bad data. And we see fads, and we thought the whole world was going to go EV, even though we're nowhere close to having the electrical infrastructure to do it. And we're going to go all in on EVs right now. And everybody wants an EV because people on Twitter said everybody wants an EV. And then, come to find out, like 10% of people want EVs. But we put all our resources into that. And now, when that wasn't true, we actually don't have any new products that are worth marketing. So did everyone paint themselves in a corner chasing this fad? Otherwise, they would have had something to show last, right? Like, but there's nothing worth paying that much money to show. They don't have anything.
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting point. It could also be a price thing, right? Like, what's the point of showing a $70,000 car when 80, 90%, 95% say of the people watching wouldn't even consider
Someone's buying them. Someone's buying all those trucks.
it? Yeah.
They got money for the $100,000 EV. You don't have the money. Like, there is the money out there. Because I'm a car person. I'm like, well, what is coming out that's got me excited right now? Nothing. Because they went all in on all this other stuff. It's like, why does Taco Bell come out with the new triple wrapped bacon gordita? You can't keep marketing the same stuff. You have to have something new to market. The problem is everyone's got something new, but the market doesn't want it. It's going to be another business case study. Everyone painted themselves in a corner on this one.
Yeah, maybe.
It's back to the Taycan, whatever the Porsche is. Like, how many do you want? I think they got buy one, get one free down the lot right now. There's so many electric Porsches out there for sale. It's hilarious. They're lined up. You can't get a 911 to save your life. You can on the secondary market.
Yeah, yeah. I did see something in Wall Street Journal or something talking about how you can get a secondhand take hand for like 60 grand now, 50 grand.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's I don't. I feel like they didn't listen to the consumer. They listened to social media, and what we've learned is what trends on social media does not represent what's going on with 330 million people. And they caught that wave of this is it, let's go all in. And now it's like, hell, I think you get like you probably get like a 14-day cruise and buy one get one free. Like they can't sell them because that's not what people wanted.
Hmm.
Tell you what though, that new 911 RS, everybody wants that. So was there no other commercials that stood out to you?
I'm trying really hard to.
There was the
Yeah, go on.
oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jensen.
I'm looking at my phone right now. It's the only reason I'm talking. The Friends reboot. Like
I
there was
don't
a
even
Jennifer
remember that.
Aniston one. I feel like there was a few TV shows too. Like there was TV shows, chips, pop, beer. It felt a lot different. It's like everything that basically said, "Stay home, watch TV, eat junk." That would almost sum up all the Super Bowl commercials.
I understand also that we're dealing with like lifetime value of these, like that's the payback period on these ads. But if you're advertising Doritos during the Super Bowl, isn't it too late?
Big branding move. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely understand from that perspective.
Was there Nike or any like sports apparel?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't.
I just don't remember much at all. Yeah.
I'm just like trying to think of. Yeah, this is where the world's going. I just don't know if I love it.
State Farm. I remember the State Farm ad with Arnold Schwarzenegger was pretty good.
There was State Farm, and we've always had insurance, and they were typically funny in the past.
Right.
They usually someone nailed funny. Back to using more celebrities. Um, is there an economic sign like based on what you saw? Like is this telling us something? Like is this a state of the economy thing?
I mean, that's what I think. You shared something really interesting kind of the day before, right? When the comments on a post about, I forget what it was now, but basically the comments on some social media post saying like, oh, it's nice to know that so-and-so company can afford so-and-so celebrity when they're laying off a bunch of people. So there's probably some level of, again, handbrake uh, kind of sensitivity to that. It's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go and spend the $7 million or whatever on 20 million if you include all the production when macro is that we're going to be laying off people.
I want to say that was Quicken or somebody. One of the mortgage companies they brought Snoop Dogg in for their excuse me annual conference or something, and it was a big production. And if you read the comments, there were so many comments like, "Yeah, I'm not using these guys anymore. This is why my mortgage rate's higher." So it's like I don't. Did they ever like fact? It was cool for the conference. It's probably really cool for the employees. You kind of ended up using it as a two-way thing, like we talked about, like in monolithic marketing consulting we do, where everything you do could be, interfacing for employer branding, and also your customers see this, so that could be a sales opportunity. And maybe they tried to do both here, not realizing that the consumers, like, they probably paid Snoop who knows how much money, and they got money for all these shenanigans, but, my interest rate's 7.2% right now, and I can barely afford a house. And maybe they wanted that. I don't know. See, sometimes, if they didn't get the negative press, they probably never sent it to you, right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Maybe it's people are have to think that way, but they got to spend some money on marketing, whether you like it or not.
We're almost in this place in kind of the life cycle of brands and marketing where it's almost more important just to protect your brand than it is to push the envelope.
we talk about that with the outplacement services. The whole thing's protect the brand.
Right.
And but what happens when you do all that? Creativity dies. You don't do anything unique or interesting. What I saw was, from a commercial standpoint, brands that have no identity. When you went back and you thought of, you knew Budweiser was going to have the Clydesdales. It was a very Budweiser thing. And not that every commercial ever done on a Super Bowl was a, brand identity, but you just felt like what I'm watching is soulless. There was a couple funny things, and there was a couple other, we're going to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. And it's, as everyone has gotten so big where they don't have to be that creative. They don't have to go grind and fight. There's no competition coming up. There's no one going to come take out Doritos, right?
That's a conversation for another day, but I mean, that could be absolutely true. The way that you go into any small town in America and it's basically the same 7 fast food stalls in the same grocery store. And you might be right there. You could be very right there.
You're just not going to push them out, and they know that. Then it's like, well, we're going to do this because we got to do this, or we want to do this, but we really don't need to do the best.
I think it's a we want to versus we need to, right? To your point.
Yeah, it's a bragging right to have a Super Bowl commercial, and it's gotten to the point where the companies are so big. The thought of trying to be a small brand and you're not taking out Coke. You're probably not taking out Doritos, and as far as pharmaceutical goes, you're not taking out Pfizer. Like the things you used to have some hope that the brands rise and fall, but everything's a juggernaut now. And it's like, well, even if we kind of go half-ass it, so what? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like the death of creativity too. I don't know.
Do you think also interest rates has an impact on this? If you think the large balance sheets can absorb a whatever $20 million hit for marketing, and you can imagine a world where the upstart coconut water brand in the ZERP environment can say, all right, let's go pull out 14 billion, 15 billion, excuse me, at whatever 0%, 1%, and like they may be able to justify a return, but when you've got to return 7, 8, 9, 10% on that money, it's like, I don't know if that's worth it anymore.
I mean, I think it's debatable if any of it's worth it, right? And I think a lot of the stuff we're talking about is extending beyond the Super Bowl. It's like advertising in general, but it depends on how much funding they got. If you look at the last few years, raising money is crazy.
Yeah, right.
They're like, wait a minute, you want to put cashews and walnuts in a plastic bag in
$17
January,
million.
and then ship it to customers, and then in February, you want to put pecans and cashews in a different bag, and you want to ship that to customers? Okay, yeah, we'll do $100 million round date. Like that's where you could come up with things that are the most useless things on the planet, and they were just getting money thrown at them. And yeah, the environment's probably a little different now, but it doesn't cost that much money to be creative. It costs money to hire, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Tom Brady, and Lopez, and hell, there was like how many people in that? What was the cost of just, the talent? But to write funny stuff. Thinking back, as Budweiser or Bud Light used to do the Real Men of Genius, you'd hear them on the radio. Like, that stuff was funny. There's been a lot of funny stuff over the years. That didn't maybe require a huge budget. I guess we're at a point now where we either can't do it or we're incapable of it. And my thing is, I think we're going to become more incapable because we're not going to keep practicing and honing that skill because we're not allowed to use it. And then just all media, with all books, movies, and everything just get more boring. Because we're not out there sharpening that edge anymore.
Yeah, we're going back to the kind of the original point, but I just think that people are not incentivized, the employees at the ad agencies, the employees at the companies that are advertising, to push the envelope. And it becomes this game of protect the brand, protect our reputation. As the agency, it's probably like just do a good enough job such that we can get signed on for next year, right? Because if we piss people off or we do something that's so crazy and we anger people, look at Bud Light, this thing could fall off a cliff. And it just becomes about protecting everyone's job at that point, I think. And so you do see creativity die.
Yeah, it sounds like the penicillin shot for creativity.
Pfizer.
Pfizer. Oh, man. Anything else you got to wrap this one up?
No. I think hopefully next year's a bit more exciting.
Did you see any luxury items?
Luxury. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know, Louis Vuitton, Rolex. I mean, I'm just making stuff up right now. Big brands, maybe not even luxury, and big retail. I'm not sure I saw
No.
much of that. I have to go back through the list and look at the whole thing. It was like chips, pop, beer, not a lot of cars. Not even the Dunkin' thing, man. It's food, Uber Eats, and a lot of TV shows. It's just what it's saying is go watch the Friends reboot, jump on Uber's Eats, and order some Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. Basically.
And does that not kind of sum up where life is going for many people in 2024?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. May not be the way to go. Anyways, catch you in the next one.
Okay.